So does Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3's campaign, 2023 that is, live up to the hype of the Modern Warfare franchise series? Does it live up to the predecessor, the old Modern Warfare 3, and how that campaign was? Again, in this video, specifically in this review, we're focusing on the campaign only, because at the time of recording this, the campaign is early access, November 2nd, 2023, and I just finished the campaign. It didn't take me very long, which is actually one of the things we're going to be talking about, and there's a few other things I want to talk about here in this video. So this is going to be a raw, just completely transparent review. I do want to say a thanks to Activision for hooking me up with a copy of this game. Now, I know right there a lot of people are probably going to say, oh, this guy is probably going to say nothing but nice things. That's actually not the case. Just hear me out. Trust me, you're going to want to hear my thoughts on this one, because I got a lot to say about this one. And yeah, listen, so the campaign is about 13 or 14 missions long. And it starts off with this mission called Operation 627. Now, the first thing about this mission, and this mission is going to be the background gameplay you guys are going to be seeing. I don't want to spoil anything in the later portion of the campaign for anyone. So I'm going to be throwing that gameplay up in the background for you guys, because this is the gameplay we actually got revealed to us previously when it did the actual campaign gameplay reveal. So the first thing I seen about this mission when it was revealed was that it was at the Gulag, the prison from Verdansk, Warzone map, and right there it kind of piqued my interest, I guess, not necessarily in a good way, thinking and wondering if that was going to be a lot of the campaign. And about, I would say, a third to maybe like 40% of the campaign is unfortunately actually either Warzone locations, or there's one or two locations that are the ground war maps from the multiplayer. One of the maps being the ground war map from the beta that we played. And that was a little bit disappointing because it kind of felt like they were just kind of taking a sort of lazy route with that. Throwing in locations that they basically already have, instead of creating completely fresh locations. So that turned me off. I'll be completely honest. And again, that was about maybe 40%, roughly 30 to 40% of the missions in the campaign. Roughly, just kind of spitballing it. The campaign itself, I played on regular, and it took me about 4 hours to complete. Which is a little bit shorter than most campaigns. I think Modern Warfare 1 and 2, the reboot games, 2019 and 2022, I think they took me more like 5 or 6 hours. So this one's a little bit shorter than that, surprisingly. So it feels like maybe they got a little bit shorter and shorter. I feel like Modern Warfare 2019 was like 6 hours, and then I feel like Modern Warfare 2 is closer to 5, and this was like closer to 4. Again, it depends on your playing style, but I'm basing it off my personal playing style, which hasn't changed over the years really at all. And yeah, so that's one thing to consider. Obviously, visually, it's really nice, right? It's always a visual showpiece, right? That's kind of the Call of Duty campaigns. They always do a really good job at, the visuals and just, that cinematic experience. And that was no different. The cutscenes were great. The cinematic, kind of experience was really solid. They had a new kind of modes that were called, I'm trying to blank what they're called. They're like open combat missions and whatnot. So the idea there is like, let's say there was like three locations, and you can, you're kind of dropped into this sort of like map, I guess, a sort of area. And you got to basically, you can go wherever you want first, right? You can kind of go through the mission however you want. If you got 3 objectives, do whatever one you want first, second, and third. And those are okay. They were an interesting, take on these, on kind of the campaign style of missions. And again, that was maybe like half of the missions roughly were those kind of missions. And I wasn't massively crazy about it. I kind of preferred it's gonna be like the linear experience. That was kind of my preferred style, and I enjoyed those missions more than those kind of open combat missions, personally speaking. But again, that's more subjective. In terms of the story, obviously the story does continue off from Modern Warfare 2019 and 2022. It picks off where we kind of left off. And they're telling, kind of the story where we're basically hunting down Makarov without spoiling too much, right? Now, in terms of like, where does this story end? I can't really say anything because I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but I will say that the ending of this campaign was very dissatisfying. I was not satisfied with the ending whatsoever. I feel like it was kind of cheap. I feel like it was kind of like, that really, this is how it ends, especially when you compare it to like the original Modern Warfare 3 and how that one ended. This one just felt like it, I don't know, it felt very anticlimactic. I'll say that. It felt like it just kind of like went downhill instead of how a story normally is. And, you know, it brings you up to a peak at the very end where you're just like, wow, you know, you're thinking about how that story unfolded. They had a couple, like 1 or 2 moments that did make my jaw drop where I was like, whoa, okay, they actually went there kind of thing. But that wasn't really enough to save it for me because, again, the way that the story kind of played out, it felt extremely safe to me. It felt like it was, again, it felt, if I was to give this 2 words, it felt safe and it felt lazy. And I hate to say that because I've enjoyed almost every single Call of Duty campaign that's ever come out. I mean, they've all been really, really, really good for the most part. I think probably the worst one in my books was probably Black Ops 4, just because it felt a little bit weird, the way that one was. No, sorry, Black Ops, was it 4? Or no, 3. Sorry, Black Ops 3, I think it was. It felt very different from Black Ops 1 and 2. But even then, I enjoyed that campaign, at least to a decent extent. Again, this one, I just have to say that it feels like they played it safe, and it feels like they played it a little bit lazy. Like I said, it feels like a lot of Warzone assets were reused. It felt like just, you know, story-wise, it was kind of like, sure, it was 4 hours, but even then, it kind of felt like they stretched the content that was there. It felt like they didn't really have a lot to begin with. I'll say this. A lot of people were concerned, you know, was this kind of like a game that was rushed out, that was supposed to be more like a DLC? This kind of felt more of like, in terms of the campaign, it felt more like a sort of expansion kind of story that you would expect. You know, like, you know, when we have a story-based game, whether it be, you know, God of War, let's say, or whatever, and it gets like a kind of DLC that adds a little bit more story. That's kind of what this felt like, you know, in complete honesty. And I hate to say that because I've always loved the COD campaigns. Is it worth playing through? I mean, if you're gonna get Call of Duty anyways, obviously, yeah, I would say like it's worth playing through. Obviously, if you're gonna get Modern Warfare 3, but is it worth getting Modern Warfare 3 just for this campaign? I could not advise you to do that. I could not. I would have to say if you're the kind of person that you're like, you know, I want to get it because I really like the campaign and maybe I'll play a little bit of multiplayer, but you're not like a hardcore multiplayer person, then I would say like just wait it out. Maybe wait for a sale because the campaign was, again, it was lacking severely, in my opinion. Like I said, visually it was great. You know, audio was great. You know, there were some solid missions in there. There were some solid story tidbits in there, but again, it did not feel like you would expect from a new standalone Call of Duty campaign, in my opinion. And it's a letdown because, again, I've been such a huge fan of the Call of Duty campaigns for so long that I hate to say that. But yeah, I just feel like, you know, especially the way they ended it, you know, there was it just felt messy. It felt messy. It felt lazy. It felt safe. And it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel the way I was hoping. And for all those reasons, I have to give this game, the campaign, again, we're not talking about multiplayer or zombies, but I have to give it probably like a 6 out of 10. I honestly want to go lower than that. I want to go as low as like a 5. The only reason I'm not is because, yeah, sure, you know, there was some elements in there that were redeeming qualities. But a 6 out of 10 for me for a Call of Duty campaign is pretty telling. So, you know, again, there was tidbits in there that were good. I probably should give it a 5. I'm just going to preface this by saying that I think I'm being generous giving it a 6. But take it as you will. If you've played the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 campaign, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you agree or disagree? Would you give it a higher rating or would you give it a lower rating? At the end of the day, reviews are just subjective. It's my opinion, my experience, but I want to know your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like, subscribe for more. We talk about the games, play the games here on the channel. Until the next one, game on. See you guys soon. Hey, you! What are you doing?
Join the skeleton army. Do it today. Don't wait till tomorrow because tomorrow might never come. The earth is going to fade. That's inevitable. The next second of your life's not even promised, so you better think about where you're going, and you might as well just join the skeleton army. Plus, we do kind of like you a little bit, so it'd be nice to see you around here. But if you don't want to, hey, your loss. See you later.